So now we're in section 4. We're going to discuss the executive office of the president, some of the agencies the president deals with. In 1801, Thomas Jefferson did the job of president with few advisors. Today, many of the people work in the executive office of the president, which is the president's administration. The executive office of the president is the president's administration. And there's a number of people who works in this. FDR created the executive office of the president in 1939, basically to form a group of people around him. The cabinet or the advisors, the people that the president get. To start off with, there's only just a handful, 4 or 5 people. Now there's a bunch of people that's involved in the executive office of the president. Currently has around 2,000 employees and a budget of more than $100 million a year. This group of people does a number of things, such as writing bills for the president and the Congress, prepare reports on special topics such as taxes. The most important parts include the White House office, the Office of Management and Budget, the National Security Council, the Office of Administration, and the Council of Economic Advisors. These are just some of the different offices that are included in this. The unit consists of about 500 people who work directly for the president. The most important person in the office is the Chief of Staff. The White House staff screens the flow of information and pushing people to try and reach the president. They're basically the middle person, the buffer between the president and the people. You know, the different requests and things that are asking the president have to go through them. The agency prepares the federal budget and monitors spending, and the director reports directly to the president. The federal budget is the clearest statement of the administration's plans and goals. And so the Office of Management and Budget just basically deals with the federal budget. The National Security Council helps the president coordinate the United States military and foreign policy. They kind of help the president decide what course of action needs to be done. Its members include the Vice President, the Secretary of State and Defense, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The National Security Council also oversees the CIA, so they deal with national security and making sure that everything is going good. The Office of Administration provides administration services to the executive offices of the president. The Council of Economic Advisors helps the president with the role of the economic leader, and they give the president advice about complex issues such as employment, taxes, and foreign trade. So these are some of the other offices and councils that deals with the president. The cabinet is one of the most important things dealing with the president. It's the head of the 14 top-level executive departments. The president may ask the vice president and other top officials to join the cabinet if they would like. And the cabinet is just basically people who advise the president. You're going to have the Department of Agriculture on there, and that person can be advising about agricultural things. Military leaders are going to be on there. It's going to advise about military strategy and things like that. They just find people that are good at certain things, and they use them as advisors. On November 25, 2002, President George W. Bush signed the Homeland Security Act into law, and this department is used to counter terrorism. It was the first new department made since 1989 with the Department of Veterans Affairs. And the Department of Homeland Security was made after the September 11th attacks to make a specific part of the government. Their main focus was the security here at home. Cabinet members advise the president on issues related to their departments, and there's no mention of the cabinet in the Constitution, but it started when George Washington started to meet with his Attorney General, Secretary of State, Secretary of War, and Secretary of the Treasury, and the cabinet meets whenever the president sees it to be necessary. So the president meets with his cabinet whenever there's a need. It started off as just those 4 departments, and there's a lot more people involved in it today. Traditionally, presidents have given little authority to their vice president, but lately they have started getting more. The vice president is getting more authority as time goes on. So the vice president now, which is Kamala Harris, is getting a little bit more, and I think she'll have a little more authority even than Mike Pence did. The Constitution does not mention the spouse of the president. They're usually as the first lady. They usually pick a goal and a project to work toward as their husband president. Like Michelle Obama's was education. And so she did things in terms of education, try to help students. Below the cabinet departments are hundreds of agencies, federal bureaucracies, agencies, and employees of the executive branch. That's what a federal bureaucracy is. It's an agency and employee of the executive branch. People who work for these organizations are called bureaucrats. These are the paid government workers that keep the government rolling. The first job of the federal bureaucracy is to decide how to translate new laws into action by developing specific rules and procedures to put the laws into practice. The second job is to administer day-to-day operations of the federal government. They deliver mail, collect taxes, send out Social Security checks, patrol the borders, maintain national parks, and other tasks. And the third job is to regulate various activities such as monitoring the broadcasting companies like the FCC, labor unions, banks, and airlines. Just make sure that all these groups are in line to what they're supposed to be. Independent agencies are agencies that are a part of the cabinet, and the president appoints the directors of these agencies. They can be divided up into executive agencies, government corporations, and regulatory commissions. So these independent agencies are not part of the cabinet. They work separate from that. These deal with specific areas. NASA is an example of an executive agency. NASA operates the U.S. space program, which is separate from one of the cabinet positions. Government corporations are private businesses that the government owns. With Senate approval, the president picks a board of directors and a general manager to run each one. The post office is an example of this. A government corporation, a business that the government owns. These do not have to report to the president. Regulatory commissions are designed to protect the public. So you have like the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, which is an example of regulatory commissions to make sure that the public is being protected from different things. Cabinet members do not run a cabinet department alone. There are thousands of employees. A political appointee is people the president appoints because of their ability or loyalty during the campaign. It's what was originally called the corrupt bargain, where you give someone a job because they help you out during your election. Now it's just become normal politics. Their employment usually ends when the president leaves office. Obviously, if the president puts their friend in office, the next president's going to take them out. Civil service workers are about 90% of the government workers. They range from doctors, lawyers, clerks. And the civil service system is a practice of hiring government workers on the basis of an open competitive exam and merit. The government workers make about 90%, or the civil service workers make up 90% of the government workers, and there are certain things you have to do in order to get these government jobs. Spoil system, jobs that go to people for political support. Again, giving someone a job because they support you is something that happens. This is a common system for 1883. This became out of control and Congress ended it with the Pendleton Act. It still happens. It's just more discreet now. They give them jobs that they qualify for, but it's because of their political support. The Pendleton Act was referred to as the Civil Service Reform Act of 1883, and the Office of Personnel Management directs this today. The merit system is hiring workers because they're able to pass a certain test or meet other civil service standards. Now, there's still corrupt things going on like that, but this does help. And that brings us to the end of this chapter. And so next we'll pick up with chapter 8.